yourself first. Ever wonder if she's really attracted to you? This a certified hidden science backed by psychology revealed the truth. One of the most powerful and frequently overlooked indicators that a woman finds you good looking is the way she naturally directs her attention toward you in social settings, often without consciously realizing it. From the perspective of cognitive psychology, attention is a limited resource that the brain allocates based on the perceived reward value of stimuli. Many people tend to gravitate toward individuals who evoke positive emotions or aesthetic appreciation. When a woman repeatedly looks in your direction, keeps her body oriented toward you, even in group conversations, or seems to mainly prioritize your presence over others, it's rarely a matter of politeness. It is a manifestation her brain registering you as perceptually and socially significant. This general bias often occurs subtly. She might tilt her head slightly and lean forward or maintain her gaze just a little longer than necessary, and these micro behaviors are difficult to consciously control, making them a strong psychological evidence of attraction. Importantly, this is not about fleeting glances or brief eye contact, but a constant pattern of engagement that unfolds over multiple interactions, signaling that your presence generates a positive, stimulating experience that her mind seeks to maintain, which is often deeply intertwined with perceptions of physical attentiveness and overall social appeal. Another sign that is subtle yet revealing involves the way a woman prolongs interaction with you beyond what is socially required, reflecting a form of unconscious behavioral reinforcement that psychologists associate with attraction and reward seeking. Behavioral psychology emphasizes that human beings have an innate tendency to linger in situations that produce positive reinforcement, and when a person finds another attractive, this dynamic is amplified. She might extend a conversation with unnecessary follow-up questions, introduce new tangential topics instead of wrapping up, or remain physically present in your vicinity even after the conversation has logically concluded. This behavior demonstrates more than just a friendliness or politeness. It reflects the fact that your presence triggers psychological reward pathways, releasing subtle neurochemical signals of pleasure and interest. Over time, such patterns create a feedback loop in which she seeks repeated exposure to the same rewarding stimuli. You and this repetition is precisely what evolutionary psychologists describe as a mechanism for fostering interpersonal connection and attraction, which in turn often correlates directly with perceptions of physical appeal, charisma, and the overall impression of being good looking in a socially and psychologically meaningful sense. Emotional attunement is another critical and frequently underappreciated indicator of attraction that is strongly correlated with perceived physical attractiveness. When a woman is drawn to someone she finds visually appealing, effective psychology shows that she becomes increasingly sensitive to subtle changes in that person's emotional states, a tone of voice, and body language, often responding with calibrated emotional cues that match or complement yours. that heightened responsiveness can manifest as mirroring micro-expressions, adjusting facial expressions to reflect your mood, or modifying a hair tone and tempo to maintain congruence with yours. All of which indicate that she is not merely present, actively engaged in a psychological synchronization process. Such behaviors are rarely performed consciously. Rather, they're the result of deep, automated social processing that signals interest and investment, suggesting that she values your presence and perceives your social and physical attributes as particularly salient. In practice, this means that interactions with you aren't just socially transactional, they're emotionally resonant, creating subtle yet meaningful feedback loops that reinforce attraction and signal that your appearance and demeanor have established a compelling presence in your perceptual and affective landscape. A seemingly paradoxical but highly revealing sign is the simultaneous presence of relaxed nervous energy during your interactions, which psychology identifies as a manifestation of positive psychological arousal associated with attraction. When someone is drawn to a person they find psychologically appealing, their sympathetic nervous system may trigger micro behaviors such as slight fidgeting, posture adjustments, gentle self-touching, or nuanced shifts in voice pitch, all of which are indicators of arousal but don't interfere with comfort or engagement. Unlike overt anxiety, there's a psychological response coexists with ease and attentiveness, creating a dynamic in which she appears both energized and engaged, signaling that your presence stimulates cognitive and emotional processing in ways that are rewarding and socially reinforcing. Evolutionary psychology further suggests that such subtle displays of arousal function as nonverbal indicators of inner signaling that she finds you appealing on multiple levels, including aesthetics, demeanor, and social presence, all of which are critical components in the perception of good looking beyond mere physical traits. Listening behavior provides another remarkably strong and underappreciated signal of attraction, particularly when it goes beyond a superficial engagement and reflects deep cognitive investment in your words, ideas, and experiences. Active listening, as defined in psychological research, involves remembering specific details from past conversations, responding contextually to nuanced comments, and asking thoughtful follow-up questions that demonstrate attentive processing. And people typically reserve this level of attention for those whom they find appealing or valuable. If a woman consistently exhibits these behaviors and interaction with you, it suggests that your presence is cognitively salient in a manner that exceeds ordinary social politeness, reflecting underlying neural processes associated with reward and attention. Over time, this attentive engagement creates a sense of psychological intimacy, even in casual settings, and signals that your attentiveness, both physical and social, is sufficient to command her focus, memory, and active emotional processing in ways that few others do. Women who are attracted to someone they find usually appealing often display subtle appearance management behaviors, which evolutionary psychology interprets as unconscious efforts to enhance perceived desirability. In the presence of a valued observer, these behaviors can include straightening clothing, adjusting posture, lightly smoothing hair, or making minor gestures intended to appear more graceful or confident, all of which occur without conscious deliberation and are designed to optimize social presentation. Unlike over grooming or performative actions. These micro-adjustments happen automatically, reflecting an inner motivation to be evaluated positively by someone whose presence is psychologically and socially stimulating. When these behaviors consistent across multiple interactions, they serve as a nonverbal indicator of attraction, reinforcing the notion that your perceived physical and social qualities are sufficiently compelling to elicit a proactive, albeit unconscious, enhancements in her own presentation, which can be interpreted as a certain sign that she finds you good-looking and socially desirable. Humor is another subtle yet revealing arena in which attraction manifests, particularly through the phenomenon of disproportionate laughter or the amplification of responses to minor comedic stimuli. Social psychology has shown that laughter isn't only a bonding mechanism but also a signal of affiliation and interest, and when a woman consistently laughs more at your jokes or even at your mild attempts at humor than she does in a comparable social context, it suggests that her evaluative processes are influenced by attraction. This tendency reflects cognitive bias in the perception of rewarding stimuli. The brain amplifies positive responses to individuals it finds appealing, leading to exaggerated mirth and engagement that extends beyond the content of the joke itself. Such laughter combined with other behavioral indicators like smiling, nodding, and mirroring gestures creates a multi-dimensional signal that her interest in you is reinforced by both cognitive and affective processes, signaling an appreciation of your appearance, presence, and a social influence that collectively contribute to the perception of being good looking. Stay tuned and watch closely. By the end, you'll be able to spot every subtle clue she gives without even realizing it. Another subtle but highly informative indicator of attraction is the way a woman gradually opens up to you over time, sharing personal thoughts, experiences, and opinions that she might withhold from casual acquaintances. Psychological research on self-disclosure indicates that people are more willing to reveal intimate information to those they perceive as socially valuable, trustworthy, or attractive, and the depth and frequency of such disclosures often correlate with unconscious evaluations of physical and social appeal. When a woman begins to provide increasingly detailed accounts of her appearances, emotions, or beliefs in your presence, it signals that she has allocated a mental and emotional resources to you in a way that exceeds ordinary social engagement. This pattern is particularly compelling because it suggests that attraction is influencing her cognitive prioritization. She is effectively treating your presence as emotionally salient, which often reflects both a recognition of your physical attractiveness and the broader sense of social value perceives in you. Another revealing sign of attraction involves the way she seeks a repeated exposure to your presence, even when there's no practical or necessary reason to do so. Behavioral psychology emphasizes that humans are naturally drawn to stimuli that provide reward or satisfaction, and when a woman makes an effort, subtle or overt, to engage with you repeatedly, it reflects the activation of reinforcement mechanisms in her brain. This might include initiating casual conversations, creating reasons to spend time in the same environment, or responding responding promptly and enthusiastically to messages, all of which suggests that her interactions with you inherently rewarding. From an evolutionary perspective, repeated exposure to attractive individuals strengthens the likelihood of forming bonds or evaluating compatibility, making this behavior a particularly strong and reliable indicator that she perceives you as not only socially interesting but you physically appealing in a way that merits attention and engagement over time. The way she responds to your absence is another profound and frequently overlooked signal of attraction. Cognitive and social psychologists have observed that when someone occupies significant psychological space in another person's mind, their absence can trigger conscious or unconscious acknowledgement, ranging from inquiries about your whereabouts to subtle behavioral changes upon your return. If a woman notices and comments when you're not present, remembers your routines, or exhibits increased engagement when you reappear, is a reflection of mental salience rather than casual observation. This heightened salience often emerges from a combination of cognitive investment, emotional attachment, and social evaluation, indicating that her perception of your attractiveness, both physical and social, is strong enough to influence attention and behavioral patterns. Even when you're not directly in her presence, such responses are often subtle and embodied within routine social interaction, making them reliable markers of genuine interest. Another signal rooted in psychological research is the modulation of vocal tone and speech patterns in a person's. Linguistic psychology demonstrates that people unconsciously adjust a pitch, volume, cadence, and warmth when interacting with someone they find appealing, often lowering pitch to convey warmth or increasing tonal variation to maintain engagement. When a woman exhibits these vocal modifications consistently while speaking with you, it reflects more than conversational accommodation. It reflects the activation of social and emotional signaling mechanisms designed to enhance interpersonal connection. These changes are typically involuntary and often go unnoticed by both parties, but they serve as nonverbal cues that your presence is stimulating and rewarding, reinforcing her perception of your attractiveness on a multidimensional level that extends beyond physical appearance to include charisma, social awareness, and relational competence. Everyone who finds you good-looking often demonstrates evaluated valuation of your opinions and judgment, which can be observed in her attentiveness to your input, agreement with your ideas, or repeated consultation for guidance. Social psychology suggests that individuals unconsciously assign greater credibility and weight to those who they perceive as physically appealing or socially influential, a phenomenon often referred to as the halo effect. When a woman seeks your approval or subtly aligns her perspectives with yours, it signals that she perceives your presence as significant, reinforcing both your social authority and attentiveness. This behavior is particularly informative because it reflects cognitive bias driven by aesthetic and social appraisal. She is not merely being polite but is actively integrating your perspective into her own evaluative framework, demonstrating both attention and psychological investment that are hallmarks of attraction. Ultimately, psychological research emphasizes that attraction is rarely conveyed through a psychodramatic action. Rather, it emerges as a consistent, integrated pattern of small behaviors that collectively signal interest, engagement, and aesthetic appraisal. When a woman exhibits attention bias, extended conversation engagement, emotional attunement, mirroring, adaptive communication, anticipatory planning, and self presentation behaviors are all occurring repeatedly and across contexts, it constitutes a robust and reliable indication that she perceives you as physically attractive and socially rewarding. These behaviors grounded in cognitive, affective, and social psychology form a multi-layered signature of attraction that transcends superficial observations, offering insight into the complex interplay of perception, reward, and relational evaluation that underlies the human social and romantic interactions. Thank you for watching till the end. Have a lovely time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And also leave a comment.